as we always do in these Straight Talk webinars, let's ask, what can we learn from this Papa John's Pizza Challenge campaign? What are our takeaways? The first thing I'll say is that during these takeaways, I'm going to draw some contrasts to Old Spice's successful campaign of mid-July, which I talked about in the Straight Talk webinar 4 weeks ago. So if you weren't able to join us for the Old Spice webinar, it is still available in video on our Facebook page. Okay, without further ado, the takeaways. The first thing I think we can learn is that in some cases, mimicry is okay. I admit that when I say this, I'm directly contradicting what I said 4 weeks ago about the Old Spice campaign when I warned against mimicry. Here's the difference. Old Spice has built their campaign around a personality, the Old Spice guy, while the Papa John's campaign is about getting your customers to do something. So let me be clear about what I am advising and what I'm not. What you shouldn't do is ask your customers to come up with new pizza recipes, or even new soup recipes, or new cake recipes. What you can do, and what might be worthy of imitation from Papa John's, is to let your customers create their own ideal vision of your product. But how could you do that in my industry, you might ask? Well, I think almost any company could come up with a similar campaign to the Papa John's idea. Basically, what they did was let customers design their product offerings within reason. Think of it that way, and it may become clearer how other companies could do this. For our telecommunications companies, what would it be like to have a contest for customers to create a new bundle, or to design your next promotion, or to determine which new community program gets your financial support? Direct mimicry of the Papa John's campaign does have some real possibilities. The next takeaway is to lay out your plan in advance. Know where you're headed. Before Papa John's ever announced their pizza challenge, they knew how long the promotion would be, what the prizes would be, and so on. This should be pretty standard advice when you're running any kind of promotion, but in particular, because social media is new, I have seen social media campaigns that clearly were not well thought out before they were put before the public. I said 2 weeks ago that when you start working with social media to begin with, you need to have a strategy and know why you're doing what you're doing. Well, the same thing is true about a social media campaign. Write a strategy and know what you want to get out of it. That doesn't mean you can't be creative or flexible along the way, but your customers will be able to tell if you haven't thought things through. And particularly through social media, customers will let you know when they think you're not running a promotion well. People have no trouble speaking their mind on Facebook, so lay out your plan in advance. The third takeaway is to call out your likers en masse and only your likers. What I mean by this is that Papa John's did a great job of promoting this campaign to its Facebook likers and calling all of them to participate in the pizza challenge. Remember that they received over 12,000 entries. Then they kept it special for Facebook fans by updating them constantly about the campaign. If you wanted to know what was going on with the campaign, you had to go to Papa John's Facebook page. Now, some promotions you can limit to people who actually like you on Facebook, and some you may not be able to limit like that. But the point here is that anytime you can reward people for liking you on Facebook or give them added incentive or reason for doing so, you should do it. Let people know you appreciate them liking your Facebook page by giving them some exclusive content or deals. Next, reward creativity. People love an opportunity to express themselves creatively, so whether it's coming up with new pizza recipes for Papa John's, creating new words and definitions for the Washington Post, or other similar contests, this is a way that people like to be creative. There's another interesting difference between the Old Spice campaign and the Papa John's campaign. With Old Spice, people got to watch the great creative skills of the Wyden and Kennedy writers at play, and the questions people lobbed up to the Old Spice guy were essentially alley-oops that the Wyden and Kennedy team dunked home. But with Papa John's, the people themselves got to be the creative ones. Give your fans and customers something exciting to do, a project or challenge, and then, if at all possible, and here was another great thing Papa John's did, let the public be the final judge of the creative output, not yourselves. Papa John's narrowed down the options from 12,000 to 10, then let some expert judges further narrow it from 10 to 3. But then the creativity of the final 3 was left to the public to decide. People love a good challenge, so reward their creativity. The fifth takeaway is to mix your media. Papa John's did a wonderful job of incorporating video and pictures into their pizza challenge campaign and making sure there was often something visual to look at. The videos and pictures of the pizzas themselves worked as well as any pizza commercial, but in this case, of course, people were choosing to view them on Papa John's Facebook page. When you mix your media, you keep your content engaging, and people look forward to what you'll post next. And speaking of posts, don't forget to maintain momentum with regular updates. Papa John's took a big risk by creating a campaign that lasted over 4 months. It's hard enough to keep people interested for 2 days, like Old Spice did, but keeping people engaged for 4 months was a monumental task. Papa John's carried it off and in fact gained more and more momentum as time went on by frequently updating their Facebook fans on where they were in the campaign and what was coming next. As I said a minute ago, they also did this with a mix of media on Facebook. So if you're going to run a long-term promotion through social media, keep it interesting so people never lose interest. Number 7 is include a built-in sales strategy. This is one thing Papa John's did perfectly. Remember that the winner of the pizza challenge was determined by which of the 3 pizzas sold the most. And you can imagine that people all around the country were playing along, rooting for their favorite pizza by calling their nearest Papa John's and placing an order. Although the winner does take home some cash, the promotion is ultimately a sales boon for Papa John's. Even here at Pivot, we played right into their hands. We not only ordered each of the 3 finalist pizzas, but we also ordered a 4th pizza, a large pepperoni, just in case we needed some extra grub. The Papa John's campaign was directly tied to and directly impacted their sales, another difference from the Old Spice campaign, which was far more about image than direct sales. Takeaway number 8 is to let your social media savvy customers market for you. Remember that once the 3 finalists were chosen, they were each given $1,000 to market their own pizzas, and market them they did. By the end of the campaign, each of the 3 finalists had their own Facebook pages for their pizzas, with over 1,000 likers for each. It was a battle to market the winning pizzas, and Papa John's was able at that point to sit back and watch their campaign run itself. And remember that according to the Clicks.com article I mentioned earlier, it was once the 3 finalists were thrown into the fray together, trying to market their own creations, that significant online buzz for the pizza challenge really began. That article says, each finalist used a different marketing approach, all posted regularly on Facebook and related blogs and frequently on Twitter. Blair Dial, a Springfield, Illinois marketing director, promoted her Big Bonanza pizza with online endorsements from organizations such as the Illinois Pork Producers Association. The recipe calls for barbecue sauce, bacon, beef, ham, jalapenos, onions, and tomatoes. Barbara Hyman, a Los Angeles holistic healer, promised that a portion of the prize money will be donated to the National Wildlife Federation if her cheesy chicken cordon bleu creation won. Kendra Chapman, a Ball Ground, Georgia volunteer firefighter, offered a spicy pepper and sausage pizza called the Work and Fire and distributed online flyers to the firefighting community with a picture of herself in uniform. So the takeaway here is to let your social media savvy customers do your marketing for you. Takeaway number 9 is to maintain a consistent message across your sites. Papa John's is spread out across its own company website, an official Facebook page, and a Twitter feed, to say nothing of the Facebook pages and Twitter feeds of its various franchises. But their message during the pizza challenge was consistent, and each of those sites promoted the challenge and the finalists once they were selected. This is something franchises in general tend to do well. Think of how quickly fast food restaurants adopt new promotions and offers that are dictated by the corporate level. This is something small businesses can become much better at. If your Facebook page is saying one thing, your website should be talking about that thing too. Keep your message consistent across your various online presences. The final takeaway, number 10, is in the midst of a campaign, don't get tunnel vision. If I had one criticism to make of Papa John's social media campaign, it's that their choice not to respond to their customers' complaints or comments or concerns made it seem like Papa John's was only interested in a one-sided conversation about their pizza challenge or select topics that Papa John's wanted to bring up. Your major promotions should never be a distraction to the greater social media effort of listening and responding to your customers' concerns. Papa John's has well over 1 million likers on Facebook, so undoubtedly it is hard for them to keep up with customer comments. But even so, I think they could be choosing to respond in some cases in the interest of customer service. So in the midst of a campaign, don't get tunnel vision. And apologies for those of you who are now ill because of that last graphic. So those are our takeaways, but here's one bonus. Do you remember the movie This Is Spinal Tap, the mockumentary about the rock band Spinal Tap? The band's lead guitarist, Nigel Tufnell, has a synthesizer that is extra loud because it goes up to 11. Well, my takeaways today go up to 11 as well. But number 11 is related more to what Papa John's has done alongside their Pizza Challenge campaign than with the campaign itself. Takeaway number 11 is draw on customer goodwill to learn more. As the Papa John's Pizza Challenge campaign went on, Papa John's knew it had built a significant following among its customers and fans. They used the goodwill that had been building for months to ask the customers serious questions about the business choices Papa John's should make. Look at the examples here. On August 16th, Papa John polled its customers about which social media sites it should be exploring. Which sites were most important to Papa John's fans? Then on Wednesday, they asked a question about purchasing online and whether having to set up an account prohibits their fans from buying something online. These are both serious questions, one about social media and one about online retail. The comments they received, and note that the second question had garnered 430 comments in about 2 hours, will help determine how Papa John's carries out its online strategies. So the takeaway here is that once you get people's attention, whether through a popular online campaign or just an engaging social media presence, you have the opportunity to use your social media connections as an informal but very helpful and potentially decision-making focus group. So once you've got the goodwill of your customers, use it to help your company thrive. So those are our takeaways, and now here's the big reveal. The big winner at Pivot for our favorite pizza was easily the Work and Fire. I guess we love spiciness here in the office. But our taste buds must not be aligned well with the rest of the country, because the real winner of the Papa John's Pizza campaign was the Cheesy Chicken Cordon Bleu. Yes, congratulations to Barbara Hyman, and good for her for promising to give her winnings to the animals of the Gulf Coast via the World Wildlife Federation. So that's it for this webinar. As always, the webinar slides are available on our Facebook page, and you can see the address for that here. You can also register for the next Straight Talk webinar on that Facebook page as well. The next Straight Talk on Social Media webinar will be Friday, September 17th, and our focus will be how to increase your followers and likers. There will also be a Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar the final Wednesday of this month, September 29th. Finally, you can see my email and Dave's email there if you have any questions for us. Otherwise, that's all for today. Thank you. And remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.